Hello, Stampin' Buddies. It's Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, in Wisconsin. And Late Night Lori is coming to you with a follow-up from my last video. So last night I showed the scrapbook layout that we did at OnStage. And I laid it out. I still haven't attached everything, but I think this is probably how I'm going to keep it. This is using the Celebration Expressions, Memories, and More card pack. So there are some 2x3 pieces and some 4x6 pieces. You get, how many pieces altogether? 54 cards altogether. So there's a lot of fun designs you can kind of see. I've kind of mixed and matched them. So while they may be called Memories and More for those who like to do memory keeping, you could also turn them into adorable cards. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. But I wanted to kind of follow up. I had gotten a comment that somebody doesn't do any scrapbooking, which I totally understand. I don't do a whole lot of scrapbooking myself. I've done some pages kind of as an assignment sort of thing for a couple of crafting events. But typically I don't do a lot of scrapbooking. My mother did a lot of it for memory keeping. Me, not so much. I like the quick and easy card, get it out the door. But I did think what I might do with this, since I only did a one-page spread, is I may frame this and make it into a home decor piece and give it to my granddaughter's mama for a birthday, Mother's Day. Mother's Day would probably be even better. Mother's Day. So, Kaylee, if you're watching, guess what you're getting for Mother's Day. But I thought that turned out really cute, and you can kind of get the idea. It's obviously not in the frame right now, but you can kind of get the idea. So there's a lot you can do, even if you don't want to do scrapbooking. So let me put this aside. Someplace where I'm not going to knock it over and break it. And let's turn that very similar layout into a card instead. All right, so I'm just going to use a couple little pieces. I haven't made a sample for myself. It's just kind of like in my head, so that could be kind of scary in itself. But if we take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of our cardstock, and I'm using the thick basic white. Some of you who have watched some of my videos know that I will take my cardstock and I will score it first. So this one I've scored at 4 1/4. All right, so if it's 8.5, that's halfway through. I will score it all the way down. And then I will, and we're doing that in my handy dandy trimmer, right? So then I will turn it and I will cut it at 5 1/2 because this is 11, so 5 1/2 is half of that. And then I have 2 card bases. They're both scored and ready to go. So I don't have to cut and then score and score. I score once, cut once, and I'm ready to go for 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and burnish this fold here so it's nice and crisp. And then I thought I would add a layer, just like I did on that memory keeping page or that scrapbooking page. So if this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 for the base, this is 4 by 5 1/4. All right. And what I have in mind is I'm going to put Happy Birthday in the middle. We'll see how this works out. All right. I'm going to emboss it with our Wow Opaque Bright White Regular. This comes in a 3-pack. So it comes with the white, 1 canister is clear, and 1 canister is black. So I'm going to use the white on here. And let's just get started. I'm going to set this base aside. When we emboss, it's always a good idea from that embossing toolkit that has the tray and the brush and the tweezers and all the things. It comes with a embossing buddy. This has a powder in it that reduces the static. So hopefully you won't get the plastic pieces all over your card. Okay. And I just keep that in a little container, so it's kind of out of the way. And that sentiment that I'm using is the same one I used last night, which is the Layered Thoughts. This is brand new. You won't be able to order it yet unless you're a demonstrator, and it might be on a pre-order option. But this is $1 million stamp set, or $1 million achiever stamp set, I should say. And this is Barb Brimhall's set. So when a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in their career accumulates $1 million in sales, they get to work with the creative staff at Stampin' Up! And design or collaborate with them to create a stamp set that meets their, or that matches their style. Okay, so little history there. And I like to kind of hang on to my $1 million sets just because I'm weird that way and I kind of like to collect them. So I'm just going to stamp this with some Versamark, which is our clear, slow drying ink. And I'm going to make sure that that's well covered. And I'm going to take this and stamp it kind of hopefully in the middle and hopefully kind of straight. It's hard to tell for sure when I'm not looking directly over it because I don't want to have my head in the camera. All right, and I should have put this on my piercing mat, but I'm not sure where I put that since last night. Oh, I see it now. Not that it does me any good, but you may or may not be able to see that on there. It's not quite centered, but that's all right. We're going to work with it. So I put my embossing powder in a little bin just because that's the way I've always done it. And I'm just going to pour it right over where the Versamark is. You can be pretty generous because we're going to make all the extra fall right back in the bin. So you can see I have it a little off center, but at least it's pretty straight. So we'll just tap off any extra, and you can see with the use of that embossing powder or the embossing buddy, there is no embossing powder clinging to my paper anywhere. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover that and put that away so that I don't get powder everywhere. And we're going to use our little heat gun. So what this is all kinds of little pieces of plastic, right? And we're going to use a heat gun to melt it all. And I usually like to heat my paper from the back because then I can watch the magic of the embossing powder, and you should be able to see it, hopefully, turn a brighter white. And what we're doing is we're melting all of those plastic pieces, and it's turning it into a very glossy white. Hopefully you can see that little magic going on. And if you can't, if you're local to me, come over and play in my crafting space sometime and we will show you the magic. So if there are any dull places on here, let me turn on another light. If there are any dull spots, then you just need to hit them again with a little bit more heat. But that is beautiful, I think. So the next piece is this banner from one of the cards. I don't remember which one. I may have used them all. I don't usually use these memory and more cards very often, but, oh, here. So I'm just cutting, I used 2 of these on the piece from last night, and I'm going to use 1 here. I don't usually use the memory more cards. I get them because I think they're adorable, and then I have so much other stuff that I don't often utilize them all, but these are such fun colors. So I'm just going to fussy cut around here, and let me just cut that off because I'm kind of struggling. It's late and I'm on the struggle bus apparently. So I mentioned yesterday in my last video that when you fussy cut, I'm not a fussy cutting fan. I would rather have a die or a punch, but sometimes fussy cutting is the only way to get the look you want. So what you do is you turn your paper, not your scissors. So the only thing you're going to be doing with your scissors is working the blade, but not moving the blade. So we're just moving the paper. So I'm left-handed. So I am using my blade with my left hand, and I'm moving the paper with my right hand. All right. And we're just going to stop right there because that other flag is very small. Okay, and let's just ease up that corner a little bit. All right. So let's get rid of that. And what I did yesterday was to get rid of this white spot. I just took one of my blends and made another line. And that looks pretty casual, kind of like it did in the sample that we had. All right, so this will maybe go somewhere like this. What I'm going to do now with these little pieces, because they're a little too wide, they're the same width as my layer. So my layer again is 4 by 5 and 4 by 5 1/4, and if these are 4 inches by 3 inches, I want to have them cut down to probably 3 3/4. So, and then I'm going to cut them in strips. So usually what I do is if I have a layer, I take it down 1/4 inch. All right. So you can keep these little scraps and make something else out of them. So all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move it over here and take off 1/4 inch, because that gives me a little bit more to hold on to because I'm left-handed. It works better for me if I have something that's getting cut that's less than 1.5 inches, because this goes to 1.5 inches. And I think I want to leave, that peach pie color there. I think that's what color that is. So then what we'll do is make a bunch of strips. So these, I think if we do like 3/4 inch, I'll just make a few of them. I can always cut them down a little bit more. Just do a couple of each. Maybe I'll do different sizes too. Maybe we'll do 1/2 inch and 3/4. And this is a good way to use up some of your scraps if you have them. And I'm going to do 1 3/4 and 1/2. We'll mix it up. I don't even know if I'm going to use all these strips, but we'll see. We'll make that 1/2 inch also. And then I'll hang on to these for another card. All right, so let's just see how this looks. It might look good. It might look not so good. We'll see. But what I'm going to do is just randomly put these on here, and we'll see how it works out. Let's do a narrower one here. We'll have to make that just a little closer together, I think. Maybe I should just glue those down. And then we can go like this and like this. And then, where's my banner? I think I'll put the banner up here because that's kind of, banners are usually kind of up in the air. And I'm not so fond of that one there, so let's put this one here. And then I'm going to put some embellishments there. So let's just go ahead and glue these on. We're going to go with it. And I like the green glue, the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, because if you don't have your item on quite straight, you do have a little bit of wiggle room before it sets all the way. But once it sets, it sets. So if you've put it down and pressed it pretty well, know that it's going to be pretty permanent. I'll lay that down. A little piece of glue there. We can let that kind of, oh, there, I got it. I was going to say we can let that dry and then just use like a rubber eraser to get it off. I have one of those somewhere here. It might still be displaced from my travels and going to OnStage. But talk about, you know, quick and easy. And I think I'm going to actually use dimensionals for this and elevate it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is put the regular ones on those middles. And we'll glue the outer edges. Usually I pull in my take your pick tool because I can't always get those release papers or the backings off. So there we go. I love my take your pick tool. So let's put a little bit of glue there. And even though it looks like I'm squiggling a lot, I don't squeeze very much glue on there. And like Riley says, dot, 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 not a lot. So that's how she helps herself control the flow of glue. You could use, you know, whatever adhesives you like. You could use tear and tape, which is pretty strong. You could use Stampin' Seal. You could use Stampin' Seal Plus. But I like the multi-purpose liquid glue, like I said, because you get a lot of wiggle room. The other tapes are much more, the other adhesives rather, are much more permanent. And you could even have popped a couple of those up on dimensionals. So there's that. And then there are some pearls. Let's see if I can find them. Here. Oh, those are not white though. So these are the antique pearls. So because they're antique, they're not quite the right thing. Although, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna color them. We're gonna take our balmy blue marker, the dark one of what I did there, and we're just gonna color a few of these and give them a little blue hint. Let's see if that works. I might have to put a couple of layers on. Or it could be. No, they're getting blue. You might not be able to tell from there. But they're getting less ivory colored or antiqued colored and a little more blue. You want to do this with your alcohol blends, not a regular marker, because a regular marker is water-based and it won't dry properly. And you'll just be wiping off ink. And then you'll have the same color you started with. Or with the alcohol markers, it will actually tint the surface and dry. So let's see how this is going to work. I think use one there. And maybe one up there for the banner. Let's do a little bit more color on this one. You know, I could also go get a darker blends and see if that makes it look a little bit better. Let me see if like Azure Afternoon might work a little bit better. Give me a second here. Let's just see what this does. Well, let's do it on here first. And I like that. So we'll just add a little bit more blue hint here. Oh, I like that. And there we go. So, same kind of design, same papers, same stamp set. And totally different look. But you can do it. Oh, and that would go on here. So how fun is that? Let me just get some glue on there and we'll actually get a finished product. And again, I don't use a lot of glue, but I do cover my surface edges pretty well and then a little bit in the middle. And so that way when I line up my corner, I can use my fingers to guide it down the side of my card. And usually it's pretty straight. So then I didn't have to cut off the edge of my banner either, because I was thinking I might have to cut off the edge of the banner. So let's get rid of the debris. So here's the project from yesterday from OnStage, and here is a little alternative. So what do you think? Are you a scrapbooker, memory keeper, or are you a card maker? And then maybe tomorrow I should use the same set and maybe make some kind of 3D project. We'll see. We'll see what trips your fancy or tickles your fancy. So I think what I'll do in here is I will put a layer of the basic black and then another layer with the basic white so that there's some continuity from the outside of the card to the inside of the card. So that's what I have for you tonight. Let me know what you think. And if you decide to incorporate this into your crafting, share a picture with me. I'd love to see what you make. I'm always open for new ideas. So until next time, happy stamping.